In this video, I'm going to be comparing a list of pinball machines which ordinarily you would probably think that shouldn't and couldn't be compared with one another. And the reason I'm doing so, the method behind my madness, is because a couple of weeks ago, as some of you will know because I produced a couple of videos, I attended a pinball and arcade game exhibition at the Excel Arena in London, which was the AEG event. And during that couple of days I was there, I played a number of pinball machines which were on show. And there's been quite a few comments, both in the chat and on the forum, just asking, with people trying to discuss which pinball machines they preferred at the event. So I thought I would just really go through them, because I've been lucky enough to have a number of these machines here to play myself. One of them is just behind me there with Galactic Tank Force. So I thought I'd just go through the machines individually, because just to give you an idea, it's fun, right? It's a way to pass the time. So I'll give you a list of games that I played when I was there. Godfather, Pulp Fiction, Elton John, Jaws, Galactic Tank Force, Venom, Beatles, it was a Diamond Edition Beatles thing, Labyrinth, James Bond, and I've left two out. One of them I left out is Scooby-Doo, for the pure and simple reason, well, firstly, the machine was a display model and it wasn't there to be played. Also, if you look on this channel, there are, what, 3 or 4 Scooby-Doo videos here. I was lucky enough to have Scooby-Doo here. If you want my opinion on Scooby-Doo, it's archived on this channel. Played it lots, really enjoyed the game, packed game. Anyway, the other one was Spinal Tap. I'm not going to include Spinal Tap on the list, and I probably won't discuss it any more than that. So I'd just rather concentrate on some of the other things. And I probably just want to say that I think this was a really, not only was it a good event, I think in terms of the machines on offer, I think with the exception of Beatles, which has been out, a few years now, it seems, we're looking at really new pinball machines here, and there were very few. There weren't really any bad pinball. There's no bad pinball machines on this list. There really aren't. They're just vary in increments of how much I enjoyed them or didn't enjoy them. So I think we'll just start from the top. I'm going to go with Godfather. Now, I will have a Godfather video being released on this channel within the next few days. Up until yesterday, Godfather was here. So again, it's another game that I got to enjoy here. Wasn't sure what to expect from it. I think I like the film, I enjoyed the films, but it's one of those things, I'm not so into the movie franchise I could tell you every quote. There are some films, Lord of the Rings, I could probably recite all 9 hours of the director's cuts for you. But Godfather, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of it. But I enjoyed it. It's a gangster flick, right? It's good, it's a mafia flick. I enjoyed it. But I think I wasn't expecting anything huge from the game, because to me it wasn't really a theme that lends itself to pinball. So for that reason, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't have many expectations of it. Because I had this perception of Jersey Jack pinball machines as having sort of spongy and soft flippers, up until the point I had Elton John here, I think I was expecting Godfather to be like the old style of flipper that Jersey Jack used to have. I was pleasantly surprised. So it wasn't quite as snappy and wasn't quite as good as Elton John, but it was better than The Hobbit and some of the other older Jersey Jacks that I played. I have to say, I found myself quite warming to The Godfather. It certainly seemed to be a really good mode-based game, and by the flippers, there's sort of this stained glass window set of inserts which seem to chart your mode. I thought that was really cool, and it was actually quite addictive. I don't have to have modes in my games, but I think sometimes if a game does the modes well, you want to complete the next mode. You want to move on, and it had that. It had that one more game feel to it, Godfather, and without overly wanting to spoil the reviews that I'm going to, which I'll hopefully be publishing over the next few days, I really enjoyed it. Far more than I thought I would enjoy it. At the end of this video, I'll sort of try and rank the games in order, but just give my overview on them. But yeah, I think I was pleasantly surprised. It was solidly built. There was actually one shot which was a wire form that went down almost the centre right of the playfield, very straight wire form that came straight down. That sort of dumped the ball onto the right flipper, very close to the right flipper. Did it very quickly, and I found that shot quite hard to time. So that was quite difficult. It was just an unusual timing for a pinball shot. But ultimately, I thought it was a bloody good game. I sort of enjoyed the game very, very much, really. We'll move on now to Pulp Fiction, and Pulp Fiction was just an incredible game, and I have actually a Pulp Fiction coming here next week, and as I record this video, only today, Chicago Gaming Company, at least I think it was one of their social media accounts, I think it was them, they have released footage of all of these games on the production line. And I think, wow, they're amazing. Now, I'm down for one. I've got one ordered. That's not the game that's coming next week. That's a sort of prototype model, a test model, which they've flown over here. It was meant to be here for the exhibition, actually, and it didn't quite make it for there. So that's coming over here just for video purposes, to play it, to learn it, to hopefully share it with you guys, to give you you all an idea of what it's like. But I thought it was a magnificent game. The one thing I am unsure of is one of the stunning things about the game was that sort of silver coin door. I did notice there were some of them had the black coin door, and certainly if I have mine, it's something I would love to get, would be the silver coin door. I think it sets it off really nicely, and I was a little bit disappointed to see those black coin doors on there, actually, so we're a little bit worried that the ones coming over to the UK might have the black powder coated coin door on them rather than the brushed steel. So yeah, hopefully we'll be getting a nice coin door for that. Look, what a great game it is. I'm really looking forward to playing it. I think over the last couple of years, I've really got into some of the old classic games, the 8-Ball Deluxe, which I've got, which Ant is restoring at the moment. Obviously had Dolly Parton here, which was 1979 Bally game. Really sort of got into the simplistic way of those games, and what ultimately happened in this house when people would come round for a beer or a barbecue, people would end up playing Dolly Parton, but more than they were playing some of the other games. I think it's a real leveler of skill sets, and you have short games. I think they're just a lot of fun. So I absolutely love Pulp Fiction in terms of, you know, a modern take on what would be a sort of classic game design, with a killer theme for me. Whilst I said I don't really know the quotes from The Godfather, that would not be true of Pulp Fiction, which I must have watched Pulp Fiction 10 or 20 times.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Pulp Fiction was great. It seemed to shoot really well. It's a Mark Ritchie design as well. Just so much to love about that game. I'm really looking forward to exploring that. The third game that I've got on the list is Elton John. Now, Elton John, I was lucky enough to have that here for a month. It's an incredible game. It really is. And I really do think, I feel that Jersey Jack have really, you know, like the phrase drawn a line in the sand. I really do. I think, you know, in terms of a company, I think they've puffed their chest out and said to everybody else, well, here you go. Here's what we're doing now. And whilst the theme might not appeal to everybody, and it did to me, let me just say that, it did to me, but I understand that Elton John is not everybody's cup of tea, right? Whilst the theme didn't appeal to everybody, almost everybody that I spoke to at that exhibition had said that, number one, they thought it played beautifully, and it did. They loved the shots on it. And number two, they thought it looked gorgeous. It did look gorgeous. It's a triumph. It's, you know, Christopher Franchi at his very, very best. Ultimately, I can't draw. I'm not artistic at all. But I always, you know, I think if you give an artist a great canvas and great paints and great brushes to work with, then they're going to do some fantastic stuff. And I think Franchi got this. I think in terms of the radicals, the depth that it gives them to be able to put the glitter in there, and just the way he's able to sort of capture the essence of whoever he's drawing in his artwork is amazing. I go back to Batman 66. It's amazing. I've a sort of heavy heart in many respects, because my favourite game is Lord of the Rings. Well, it's one of my favourite games. I don't think that's necessarily going to be top of the top 50, but it's amongst my favourite games. And I think the one letdown on that Lord of the Rings is the artwork. And I sort of look at it. The one person I wish had have done that playfield is Franchi, actually. I'd like to see him drawing Frodo and drawing Gandalf. That's just artwork I would love to see. I think he's an artist in high demand, and you can absolutely understand why. He's incredibly talented, incredibly skilled, and I think he's made a triumph with that. And I just think the combination of him on the artwork, clearly Steve Ritchie on the shots as well, and all the guys that had done the programming and just everything. It was a magnificent pinball machine, and it was absolutely an honour to have that game here. I've never spent any real time with a JJP game. I had Toy Story here for a while, but it was only here for a little while. I mean, it's here for a matter of days. You'll see the videos that are on this channel. This was the one time I really got to play a number of games. I probably played 100 games on it. I really did. So it was a real privilege. So that was great to enjoy that. Jaws. Now, Jaws is really interesting because we're dealing with a couple of games in Godfather and Elton John, which I've had in my house. And there's a reason on my top 50 that I say the entry criteria for a game to get on my top 50 is it has to have lived here, for the pure and simple reason you find things out, you hear call-outs, you learn the nuance of the rules. I've been playing Galactic Tank Force for the best part of 2 days. I've learned so much about it that there's no way you're learning this stuff on location. And I think the thing is with Jaws, I love the movie so much. It is a dream theme for me that I felt I was missing out on so many of the clips when I played it on location. If you've seen the video, you'll know what I mean. Lots of people, lots of noise. Even for you guys, I love when I do videos at home here. I take the glass off. I can really show you inside the game. And it's so hard, I think, when you're filming a game to get rid of that reflection that the glass has there. So I think for a whole number of reasons, I really scratched the surface with Jaws. I didn't see much of it at all, but I actually enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it, and I wanted to see more, and I want to get the feel of it with the music. I want to get the feel of it with the movie clips. I think as with any of these Sterns, if you're going to have this game, you want to get those paper speakers out really quickly and get some proper speakers in there to sort of fully immerse yourself in the, John Williams' score, wasn't it? But, the whole Spielberg classic film that is Jaws. I enjoyed it. I felt the upper flipper was a little bit underpowered. I don't mean the upper playfield flipper. I mean the upper playfield. I mean the upper flipper that's on the Pro and the Premium. But it was a little bit underpowered. But I'm sure you can deal with that in the software. I like the simplicity of it. I'm not a great one for complicated rules. Chum the water, bait the shark, harpoon the shark, reel him in with the fishing reel. That will do for me. I think there would have been other years when Jaws would have been the best game there. I do. But I think when you've got things like Pulp Fiction, Elton John there, that's a tough ask. It really is. And I've been saying this for a couple of years now. It's good for us as pinball hobbyists that there's so much competition, because I think for a long time sort of Stern had it their own way, and there were times I certainly felt, even in the short time that I've been in the hobby since sort of 2018, in terms of sort of machine ownership and that sort of thing, I think there's been times where there was no option but to get a Stern. Stern was all you could get. Now that's not the case. That's not the case anymore. People are looking at it and thinking, well, I might get Jaws, but then I might get Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or I might get Elton John, or I might get Pulp Fiction. You have choices now, and for that reason, I think it's a tough year for Jaws on that one. But I do think it's shot really well. I particularly liked how the Pro shot, which is just as well, because I couldn't even remotely be able to afford a Premium. But I liked it. I thought it was a really, really good game. Galactic Tank Force, which is just there. This is much better than I thought it would be. There seems to be this big clamour in pinball to have themes, to have licenses. Not themes, licenses. And a license almost got to be a band, or it's got to be a movie, or it's got to be something like that. And I think I've really noticed it, very, very prevalent. I notice it sort of online when people are discussing things online, very much so. But had that have always been the attitude, we never would have got classics like Attack from Mars, and I think that would have been a huge shame. And it's also worth noting, not every theme, even if it's a dream theme, has been done well. So I was sceptical. Galactic Tank Force, I saw the trailers like everybody else. I thought they were cheesy. They were cheesy. Now, the thing is, I shouldn't be bothered about cheesy, because we don't want a pinball machine to be subtle, right? And I guess in that sense, there are some subtleties to the Godfather. That's a sort of classy pinball machine in that sense. But you know what? I don't mind Pinball Machines having wacky out there, crazy sort of themes. And this one is very, very crazy. It really is. Yeah, you've got a situation where you're fighting aliens who are trying to thwart your ice cream production by stealing your cows and stopping you mining fudge. There's a lot of innuendo in that game. One thing you'll often see, the top of my list when I do my top 50, as I always say, it's not like the Pinside top 100. The first thing is fun. Fun. Is the game fun? That Galactic Tank Force is fun. I think there's a lot of people. Well, I find this a lot with pinball. A lot of people decide they don't like a game before they've played it. I'm quite sure a majority of people that put 100, even 20 games on Galactic Tank Force and started to learn it would probably quite enjoy it. And there's some nice shots in it. Unfortunately, it's glitchy. There are some. I think there are some software issues and there are some hardware issues with it. And I think it's a real shame because I want to like it. I'm ready to like it. But the glass has been off that game far too many times. And it's a shame. And I don't understand why, because I've had Legends of Valhalla here. And that worked absolutely fine all the time, every time I switched it on. Maybe I've just got a bad example of it, this one here. But it's a real shame. And it was a shame because actually when I came down here before recording this video, I thought, I want to go and play Galactic Tank Force. And I did. Don't get me wrong. I've just had a really good game. In fact, it was a bad game. I played terribly. But I've just had a completely clear game on it. But that I've had to have the glass off of that game probably 6 or 7 times today. So, there's definitely problems that need to be ironed out with that. But I think the sound's good. I've got used to the cheesy stuff. I quite like trying to blow up UFOs that are trying to steal my cows. I'm completely immersed in that sort of world. So I like it. In terms of reliability, I think it's a slight concern. Ordinarily, if it was something else, if it was another manufacturer, I'd be less concerned. But obviously, there are rumours at the moment that American Pinball, are for sale and stuff like that makes you nervous, doesn't it? So in terms of buying it, so yeah, great game as a pinball machine. Yeah, a little bit concerned about that. The next one was Venom. It's not doing it for me. I don't want to say I don't like it. There are very few pinball machines that I've really disliked. I mean, 2 or 3 out of loads. Generally, I like pinball. I love pinball. I'm not, I know most people do, but I try and find the best and try and find good in every pinball machine. I struggled with Venom. I didn't. Do you know what? I didn't find it fun. That's the thing. It wasn't fun at all. I found it a chore, actually. Now, as I understand it, I was playing the pro version. Now, I know somebody that's got Ollie, who's got a premium version. He says totally different. There's a lot of stuff on the premium that's not on the pro. And actually, the very premise of the game, which is choose your host, you can't even do that on the pro, apparently. That's something that's only relevant to the premium and the limited edition. And that really expands the game. And I have to take his word for it because I've not played any of the others. But in terms of the Venom Pro, I got to say, with Pulp Fiction, Elton John and Jaws and the other stuff at the event, I didn't want to play Venom. I was almost disappointed. I had to see out the whole game and play all 3 balls. So, yeah, not impressed with that at all. Beatles Diamond Edition. Well, it could be Beatles Diamond Edition or the Platinum or whatever it might have been. Yeah, there's something like... I don't enjoy the game. It's okay. I think it's okay. It's okay. But I'm not in love with it. I think there was a lot of... I found myself falling in love with a lot of these games. Be it Godfather, Pulp Fiction, Elton John, certainly. Jaws, Galactic Tank Force. There's a lot to love there. There's a lot of fun. Maybe Godfather's not fun, actually. Maybe Godfather's not fun, but it hooked me. It drew me in. Beatles, I didn't want to play another game, truth be known. It was next to Labyrinth, which we'll get on to in a minute, which was just so much better. And yeah, so I just wasn't impressed with it, really. It did not have that one more game factor. And I think with the Beatles, I mean, what a great band. They went very, very early Beatles, and I just think they picked the wrong era of the Beatles, really. They should have gone with psychedelic Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Beatles or something like that. Or we just had the I don't know if you saw it. Peter Jackson just did. It's called Get Back. Just did a 4-episode sort of series on them, which was their final concert, which was up on the roof in London. Their famous rooftop concert. Maybe some of the songs from that just lent themselves more to pinball. It wasn't working for me. I've got to say. So yeah, I could well leave that alone. Let's just before we finish on Labyrinth, we'll go with James Bond. Now I know James Bond isn't a brand new game, but it was there and it was amongst all the others. This game is a slow burner. I like it. I like this game. I think it's starting to feel more like Bond's. This was the premium, so it was the first time I'd seen the premium. I like all the stuff. I know, many people joked about it at the start, Bond on a wand and prick on a stick, all that sort of stuff. But I like it. I think at least they've had a go. And even in the premium, you've got the Aston Martin that pops up. I think George Gomez is probably my favourite pinball designer. Him or Papa Duke, wonderful pinball designers. It just makes a game that feels good. I like the way the ramps are. The upper flipper, not a great upper flipper, it has to be said. I think it's quite hard for me to make that shot on there. I think the upper flipper on Foo Fighters, I'd said this was the best upper flipper I felt on a game for a long, long time. You really felt you could hit the shots and aim them. I always find there's a lot of upper flipper shots for me, a sort of hit and hope, But I felt on Foo Fighters I was able to aim those shots. Not so much on Bond, but I like it. It grows on me. I feel it is fun. I feel immersed in the... I feel like a spy. I feel like James Bond. I like it. I really do. There certainly were more clips on it than the last time I'd played it as well. I think there's a lot to like about that game. And finally, Labyrinth. And, well, I've got to say, I was really, really pleasantly surprised by this game. A new pinball company, Barrels of Fun, that was it. And, yeah, I mean, they've made a little world under glass. They absolutely had. Now, I was slightly handicapped by the fact that I haven't seen Labyrinth, and I don't know how it escaped me because it's right in my age group. I remember The Dark Crystal, which was another Jim Henson thing. I remember Neverending Story, and it was reminding me of Neverending Story, but I didn't see Labyrinth. I love David Bowie as well, so it's strange that I missed it. But one of those things that I missed. But there's things I guess that all of us have missed, haven't we? Films that sort of everybody else has seen. So yeah, I think I wasn't getting, the quotes weren't meaning a lot to me, but I could very much tell that if you liked Labyrinth, this would have been doing it for you. And I'll tell you what this game had. It had charm. It was charming. It was a charming game. It really was. And I mean, at a different price point, I've got to say, it would be, it'd be a contender. I really do think it would. It seemed, everybody that played it, they said they thought it felt solid. And I liked it. I think it looked, I mean, it sort of had a brown powder-coated trim, which I'd probably, I'd get that shot blasted off and put something else on it, it has to be said. But I remember playing it. It was this really neat mode where you had to sort of plot your way across the bog, and I think maybe the orange shots got you across the bog, and if you hit the green shots, you got down it. But there's lots of little sort of characters popping out from the playfield, and I thought they'd done a really great job on that. A really, really great job. It was charming, really charming. I'd certainly, be interested to play that again. That's a really good game. So I just think there was so much to like there, and what was a great event, an absolutely great event. It's going to be hard for me to list all of them in order. I'll give it a go, but it's difficult because what you've got to remember is, 3 of these games. In fact, what have I had here? I've had Venom at this house, Godfather, Elton John, Galactic Tank Force, and Pulp Fiction's coming next week. So 4 of them I've already had here, so they've got an advantage over the ones I haven't really spent time with. Granted, but they're, things like the Beatles, I feel like I don't need to, and I've seen enough. Sometimes and you play a game, you play a pinball machine, you think, I'd like to see more, I'd like to explore more. Jaws, I very much had that with. Labyrinth, I had that with. Bond, I have that with. I want to see more, I want to learn more. Beatles, I sort of played it. It's fine. I don't need to find out any more about that. That's cool. So let me try my top 3 and then we'll work our way down. But don't hold me to that. The rest of them don't hold me to. I think I've got my 3 pretty much nailed down. So my top 3 would be, out of all the games that I saw and I've listed today, number 1 would be Pulp Fiction. Number 2 would be Elton John. And I think number 3, it's tough because it's only because I've had it here, would possibly be Godfather, but it might be Jaws. They might swap around. Galactic Tank Force would be just under that. But I would need to know that some of the problems with the mechanics are would need to be sorted out. But I think, looking at Labyrinth as well, which was a really, really good game, I think, and Bond as well, I think they're noticeably, better. Than Venom would be sort of second bottom, with Beatles bottom of the list, really. But yeah, I do think there's not a lot between all those other top games. Amongst the top 6, they're really good games. I think if you've got a working Galactic Tank Force, you have a really good game. And you know what? There's that thing that's stuck in the middle of it, the tank. It's okay. It's cool. You can hit it without losing the ball. And there's actually one where you can use a gamma ray. If you hit it accurately, just one shot can kill it if it's flashing blue. That's pretty cool as well. And there's a post that pops up in the middle. There's a lot to explore in that game. It is good. I think you'd have a good game. If you had you get that working and get it working well, you've got a great game. I think if a lot of these games you're going to be really happy with. Get a Labyrinth. You're going to really explore that, and there's got a lot of good stuff to do on there. I think Jaws is going to be the slow burner here because I think there was a lot of negativity with it, and I'm really looking forward to playing that. Hopefully we'll get that here as well. I'm looking forward to exploring that and exploring the modes. There's some tenuous stuff in there, collecting teeth and stuff like that. I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. I tend not to do that stuff. It's like if I'm playing Batman 66, I'm quite happy to try and get the 4 major villains in jail and then try and get the multipliers and stuff like that. I'm not a good enough player to complete all those TV modes, so I will play them. If I hit the ball up there, I might get the little multi-ball with the cowboy, multi-ball Shane or whatever it is, or the bookworm. I'll have a go, but ultimately it doesn't impact me. I'm quite happy to play the basic game, and I think the same would be the case with Jaws. I think I'd be happy to hunt the sharks and just collect the sharks and reel them in. I'm absolutely cool with not exploring all of the game. That's absolutely fine with me too. So yeah, I think for me, Pulp Fiction, Elton John, and let's go with I think possibly Godfather's in 3rd at the moment, but I do think Jaws can overtake it. I really do, because I do think that's a slow burner. But yeah, anyway, just thought I'd share my thoughts with you. Just an interesting load of games, a really good time to be involved in pinball, and what was a really excellent sort of exhibition and a sort of celebration, well, a celebration of pinball. For those of us that remember pinball, I'm sure if you liked your arcade games and that was your first time of seeing Tekken 8 or whatever it might have been, was really good. But it was hard not to be excited by the Pulp Fiction game, particularly it was on the Namco stand, and the technician on the Namco stand was so good. I mean, normally at these events, they're not going to let you take the glass off or do anything like that. It was the only game I managed to get the glass off on, and he was great. He saw me filming. I had my camera there and had the tripod there, and he just came up and he said, "Would you like me to do anything? And can I turn the volume up or down? Can I do this?" Because he'd heard me saying it on the camera, and I said, "Yeah, if you could take the glass off, it'd be amazing." And he did. So we got some really good early footage of it. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's coming next week. Can't wait to share that with you as well. I'm just so excited about that release. But I'm excited about all of it. It's a really exciting time to be involved in pinball, right? So hopefully we get to play as many of these games as possible. As ever, thanks everybody for sort of following the channel, for subscribing, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Share on your social media. That would really help out massively as well. Lots and lots more videos to come. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to keep it up, and go and check out the other stuff on the channel. Search the channel. There's a search bar on the channel. You may well find there are videos on here you didn't know were on here. I had someone in the comments the other day, so excuse me, will you be able to do a Scooby-Doo review? I said it's on here. We have a Scooby-Doo review. Somebody said, I'll be really interested in what you think about Cactus Canyon. I said it's on here. We've got it. So yeah, don't don't assume what's on here. I think there's nearly 200, or over 200 videos actually on this channel. So go and have a look. Hopefully there's a little bit of something for everybody. I'll be back in a day or two with something else pinball related.